Culture, culture, kiltsi, bunka, cultura. So many ways to say it, so many ways to interpret it, so many things it impacts, yet we are all connected by it the same way. The very essence of who we are as human beings is passed down from generation to generation. Our values are basically genetic. Welcome to the Culture Show. Throughout the show, we will examine the ins and outs of culture and how it impacts our lives. Hey Google, what's culture?
According to Wikipedia, culture is the social behavior and norms found in human societies. There are more than 6.5 billion people in the world today. 195 countries. This total comprises 193 countries that are member states of the United Nations and 2 countries.
Welcome to the Culture Show. First, we'll introduce the panel. I'm going to start with my left. Luigi, please state, well, I've done that for you already, but state your name and where you're from and what culture represents for you.
My name is Luigi. I'm from Italy, as my name obviously says. Culture represents a lot for me because I come from a country that has a long history of culture, and I come from a family specifically who values culture a lot. My father was an architect, and my family youth. Then I came to America, and now I'm an American with different interests, but bringing with me my cultural bag, as they say.
It's interesting you bring up music. We'll be talking about that also, how it impacts music or how actually music impacts culture. So we'll expand on that later. And we have here Robert.
Absolutely. Robert S. Bay. I'm from America. I'm a Native American. Culture to me represents the sustaining power of the people. I think it's one of the most important aspects of society, and we all have to, no matter what. It's an honor to be here, and I'm glad to participate.
People.
Yes, my full name is Muntanga, but I go by Munti, and I was born in Zambia and moved out here for school, living in Miami. And culture for me, I would say, is a way that messages are passed on from generation to generation. So it's essentially like a form of like intellectual property passed on from live within us.
Nice. I like that. Very cool. Christina?
Hi, I'm Christina Konami, and I was born and raised in Nebraska, but my mom is Japanese, so although growing up it was an American culture, but when I came home it was a Japanese household, and culture to me is really just my identity. It's my morals and values, and I think it's a great way to connect with everyone.
Nice. I like that. Patrick?
My name is Patrick. I'm from Haiti, and culture for me is everything. Say that. It's really about, for me, culture is art, food, and it's also the foundation of who really are. If you think about who you are, you can always go back to the culture, to where it all started. I have Tahitian. My grandmother is Tahitian, and of course I have my African background. So I have Indian and West Indian. So it's great for me when I talk about it to be talking about culture, different cultures, and especially as a chef. So I cook a lot. I do a lot of stuff: African food, sushi, Japanese, very good empanadas. Pasta. I mean, that's the place for me to be, to learn about culture.
And yeah, you're mentioning food, and definitely food is going to be a major topic, especially that we just had some wonderful food from multiple cultures here, so we're going to expand on that a little bit. And Yubesca from Venezuela. En español, por favor.
Ok, mi nombre es Yubesca, soy de Venezuela y tengo 3 años viviendo acá en Miami. Y para mí la cultura son hábitos creados por el hombre, habilidades que van acompañados de creencias, tradiciones, religiones y diferentes tipos de comida.
Nice. I don't speak Spanish, but I understood everything she said, so there you go. All right, folks, thank you guys. For those of you who do not know who I am, my name is Jeff. I am born, and I've been living in the States for about 15 years now. And you mentioned music, obviously background also, and definitely I have a food background because I like to eat. So, but we'll get started with the first question of the day. Let's talk about the misconceptions, the stigmas of your respective culture. And we'll start with Christina.
Biggest misconception, I'm not Chinese. So, yeah, I've had a lot of people say, okay, like, where are you from? I'm Japanese Asian, so they'll be like, oh, so you're Chinese, right? And, countries in Asia that represent Asian, so I am Asian, but I'm not Chinese. You know, there's Taiwan, Japanese, North Korea, South Korea, Vietnamese, and China. But oh, okay, you're Chinese. I know where that is. I know where China is.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's the biggest.
Sense, and I think we'll see what anybody wants to chime in a little.
Well, when I say I'm from Haiti, so like, you don't look Haitian. When they tell me that, I get the rock look. You know, I was like, how Haitian is supposed to look like?
Right, exactly.
So that's one of a really misconception there, you know. So, like, oh yeah, I was born and raised in Haiti. Yeah, my mom also, my dad also.
Right.
But it's where the West Indies is, it's Caribbean. There's a lot of different cultural background there. French, English, Spaniard. It's
Yeah, it's true.
a big mix. So if I had to take a DNA, where all
It will come back.
I'll be like
It will come back
having
with
1%
system.
of every country.
Right.
It will be like system error. System error. You're gonna say something, Robert?
I'm not Robert, but I will say.
Oh my! See, I told you guys. You're on the same side. I told you guys I would mess up. Luigi, you want to say something, Luigi?
Actually start talking about stigmas when it comes to Italians because they're all very well known.
So expand on the most famous one that we all are thinking about right now.
Mention pasta. Well, Italian means pasta. It means the mafia.
Yeah.
Opera, like good things and bad things. And this can be said, I'm sure, for every culture of the world. There's a good postcard vision of a country, and there's negative stigmas about every country and every culture. But you have to live with the best ones. The bad ones are usually born out of history, out of things that have happened, out of a certain perception that you have from another place of a certain place. And typically they don't correspond completely to the truth. The very good ones neither correspond sometimes completely to the truth, but as a representative of your culture and your country, you always have to try to represent the best of it.
Yeah, that's true.
And to try to mix with the other cultures in the most positive way, in such a way that you basically end up as a human being. life. As curious as you are about you, as curious as you are about them, that there's, at the end, there's nothing to fear from each other, but rather there's a fascination that has to be built between cultures. If I go to Japan, unfortunately I've never been, it's one of my dreams to visit the Far East, and I know I should go and I will go, but I will go with the eyes of the visitor who's fascinated by all of that. And I think this is something we have to defend as well. The world is much more of a global place, and by being global it also becomes smaller, because everybody tends to be like each other more and more. American music became the music of the world, if you think about it, very much to the loss of other musical traditions that even in their own countries are suffering because of that. But we have to defend them. Them not because they're inherently good, but because they're inherently different. And difference makes the world bigger rather than smaller. And I'm talking about difference not in negative terms, in positive terms. We need to defend what makes every person, every culture, every country, so that first of all, we have a cultural enrichment in exchange of ideas that come from different places in different forms. And I'm talking about arts, like I can talk about science as well. Paper was invented in China. Printing was invented in Europe. Look at the
That's a good point.
So if we become one enormous gigantic blob of people who all look like each other, think like each other, and do the same things in the same way, we're going to lose an enormous patrimony.
It's an interesting point, but with what you're saying, and also globalization, and with the birth of social media bringing us all very close to each other, that might become. So that's an interesting point.
Oh, yes, we have an easier way to communicate, but we don't have to embrace something that comes from somewhere else immediately just because it's cool, or it's positive, or it will help me to get the better job, or a lot of other considerations in which people tend to mix and match and become like each other. It's okay. I'm not saying, I've been living in America for 25 years. I'm very much American in much of what I do. But I also tend to preserve within me, within my attitude, something that comes from where I come from.
Exactly.
And of course, I try to present it in the best positive fashion so that, again, people like me rather than disliking me. But, go around necessarily watching football and baseball and basketball rather than soccer.
So a lot of interesting points all around the table. Robert, what's your interpretation of misconceptions?
Wow. Well, let me first say, because I have to put some things in context. As an American, as a melanin-rich, I would say the biggest stigma, and we use this term loosely, we use it for slang, but I think the biggest stigma is that there is actually a people called black people and there's a people called white people. I think that people actually think that these are actual nationalities. This table is black, okay, and that light or his shirt is white, but it's not a nationality. So for example, if I say he's Ethiopian, where does he come from? Ethiopia. If I say he's Russian, where does he come from? Russia. If I say he's Jamaican, where does he come from? Jamaica. When you say somebody's black, you don't necessarily tie them to their nativity, their homeland. And in America, our people, they don't have that connection. We've kind of been denationalized, dehumanized, decultured, and a lot of people are lost. And they just throw this term black on themselves or white on themselves. When in actuality, I know when people say that, I know what they mean, but it doesn't mean anything because you're talking about colors. And this is the biggest stigma and the biggest misconception that we're dealing with in America. I mean, to be honest, if you're in America and your grandparents are from here and your great-grandparents are from here and your great-great-great, you're American. I mean, it's just that simple. You don't have to call yourself black, you're American. Or if, like you said, you're from Italy, but you've been in America. So you have your native land and where you're at now. You're tied to your nativity, but you know where you are. You're not going to try to understand where you're at the same time. And that's what my people are missing. We're disconnected from our nativity. So that's the biggest misconception. I mean, you'll go
And also in a way from the very place you live in.
exactly.
Both from where you come and from where you live.
Exactly. So, and that's where there's so much confusion. I can go to somebody with the same hue as me and say, hey, you're not black. They're ready to fight me. You know, not understanding that, no, I'm trying to connect you to something. Hey, go research, you know, your nativity. Go talk to your great-grandparents, or read scripture, or do genealogy. You know what I mean? Do what the research that you can do that's available to you with the resources that you taboo or sensitive topic in this country is the black and white thing, and it has people divided, saying you're black and you're white. You can say you're black, like you said, you're from Haiti.
I get that.
You're not from Haiti. You're Puerto Rican.
Yeah,
You know,
Dominican.
You're Dominican. You know, I mean, people are looking at shade
Yeah.
instead of culture, background.
Yeah.
You know, the list goes on.
It's
And
like
that,
when you application for work,
Right.
and it asks you for my race.
Right.
I put black.
right.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't have someone say, you put black. Like, oh, you asked me my race. Yeah,
Right,
ask my
right,
color.
right.
I almost felt like saying that,
Right,
but I
right.
didn't want to be rude.
That's a very good point.
But it's
They ask for your race and
they
not
ask-
your color.
Yeah, they ask
So-
my race. So I put
That's
black.
the issue.
My race.
That's the issue.
You know?
That's the
but
that's
they
the
look at
biggest
me
issue.
like, but you're not like, if I ask you where I'm from,
Right.
can you actually tell me where I'm from?
Right,
Because
exactly.
I've been misconcepted for being Indian, looking
Yeah,
Bangladesh.
absolutely.
Because
Exactly.
we are all mixed,
Right.
Yeah.
We're all a big
you know?
pot. You know.
But
Yeah.
What do you think, Yubesca?
Ok, mi forma de pensar es que considero que todos los países, todo el mundo suele tener malos entendidos. Hablando en un caso en particular, en mi caso, es que nosotros los latinos, en especialmente los venezolanos, tenemos una forma muy amorosa de saludar. Cuando vamos a saludar, damos un fuerte abrazo, un beso, y utilizamos frases como,
En
hola mi
Francia,
amor.
2 pesos.
Yeah, yeah, in Europe, some countries is to kiss, alright? Bueno, en mi país es hola mi amor, hello my love, alright? Y algunas personas suelen ver eso como un acto de mucha confianza, o sea, como abuso de confianza. Y no es así, solo que los latinos solemos ser personas alegres, divertidas. Y sentidos que al principio las personas cuando, hola mi amor, y ya, ok.
Yeah.
Ya.
All right, good. Monty, we haven't heard from you. Well, what are your thoughts?
I mean, hopefully it's being eradicated, people are getting educated about the level of poverty in Africa and how that's always the thing that's highlighted is how, basically everybody in Africa is poor. And I believe it's getting better, but it used to be so bad that people would think like would live in trees, like there was no actual infrastructure, and we had pet lions, or so just outrageous things. I don't know if people were trying to be funny or if they really just didn't know any better. That's really unfortunate that that education is not being accessed by everybody, and people are not aware of the richness that Africa is and how every country has its own main export that basically supplies the whole world with all the things that they're able to, build and make. It's like that's the source of all of that. So yeah, that's like
I don't get a lot of the stuff you get. You look from every other country in the world except for Haiti. I'm like, why?
Right.
So, well, because you're not black. I'm like, well, I am. I might be light skin or whatever you want to call that. That's number one. Number two is religion. I say, oh, do you practice voodoo? I've heard that many times. And actually, I've used that to my advantage in college because I had some bullies that wanted to take advantage of us, and we pretended actually that we knew voodoo.
Yeah.
I say, yeah, I know voodoo, so you better chill. Because And why is it a big stigma? Is because most of the population is actually Catholic. So it's a very small part of the population that actually practices voodoo. So it's a big misconception in my culture, in my country. And also the poverty thing is the same thing, you know, but you don't really look poor or whatever. Man, what does that mean? Makes sense.
Relation for you. I was asked once if in Italy we had telephones.
Why?
I don't know. I never asked him, do you have telephones in Italy? He said, yes. We got there.
Actually, I've been fortunate enough to visit Italy, and the first thing I wanted to do was like was to eat pizza. I wanted to eat pizza. That's what I wanted to do.
Where were you?
I was in Milan.
Wrong place.
Yeah, but I was in Switzerland, and I drove down south, the closest city, and we didn't have a lot of time between the cities. So I stopped in Milan, did some shopping, and ate some pizza. But still, even if it wasn't the best place for pizza, it still was the best pizza ever. And I remember that moment because I was like, oh man, this is good.
Hit the good one. In Milan, there's everything in terms of food. Milan is really the food capital of Italy because it's the economic capital.
Exactly.
So the best restaurants are there. So, yes.
Alright, good.
Making me hungry and nostalgic.
I know. Well, we have some food there, so.
Risotto here in America.
Yeah.
I think risotto have heavy cream in there. No, you don't use that at all. No cream in risotto.
Oh no.
Cream? Ew, no.
So it's American Italian.
Talking about Olive Garden, they'd be like, what?
Oh yeah, right, exactly.
Olive Garden, but when you're here, you're family. So yeah, you're a chef, so obviously you know a lot of the different aspects of food when it comes, to culture.
You have to research. You have to do it. Because there's a lot of things. There's a lot of culture, even if it's in food. If it was in Africa or in Haiti, when it comes here, it gets Americanized.
Right.
And then so we think that when we go to some Italian restaurant, they're gonna have really and things like she's not Italian.
Oh, it's not Italian?
It's really American.
Let me scratch that up.
And Italian don't really put cream in their food. Their food are very extremely healthy and simply made. So I remember one time I was cooking for one of my private clients, and I was cooking for the weekend, and all the ladies wanted to cook pasta. So I actually was sitting down, I was watching them cooking pasta. It was the most, but there's a little ego between a woman. Like my pasta is better than yours. Like I just want to eat. You know? But the way cooking was it's very light. It's here I eat pasta and I feel.
Here you eat broccoli and you feel. You eat salad and you feel.
So it's different.
Yeah.
Background, a different culture. Same thing like our Haitian food is very similar to African food. South America. So I love Venezuelan and Colombian food. Venezuelan are very, very extremely similar.
That's true.
Yeah.
I've had them all.
So if I go to a really good Colombian restaurant, sometimes I feel like I'm home because I have my rice and beans and my meat. You know, because when I feel at home because I have my beef stew. So it's the culture. If we really open our mind, we realize that we're not just so different.
Right.
We're just we have so much in common.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate each other culture, differences, similarities. As a whole, would be a much happier world.
Hi, I'm Christina Konami. I'm half Asian, half American. You guys are going to definitely want to keep an eye out on the culture show. It's something that you're not going to want to miss.
When I first saw My Natural Paradise products, I was immediately taken back by how cute they are and how clearly environmentally conscious they are. There's not a ton of plastic wrap or anything that you're gonna have to trash and get rid of. They come in these really cute little containers that twist right open. All the products are right there for you, super easy, and it's so clear that to empower you.
I think personally, food is one of the parts about culture that bring a lot of people together. And being from Haiti, you know, Patrick, you know, we love our pork, we love our rice and beans, we love our plantains. It's very similar to the Hispanic culture, by the way. Even though I think ours is a little bit better, but that's besides no, I'm just talking about the plantains. So, Christina, talk to us a little bit about, you know, in your culture, growing up in Nebraska, obviously, and then, you know, going to Japan very often and seeing the difference maybe in the food. So tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. Like you said, like I grew up in a but like the household was very Asian and had a Japanese culture to it. So it's funny because like when I would go out to my friend's house, like it was always fast food. Like let's order Subway or Burger King, you know, kind of like what we talked about.
Yeah,
it's
that's
always,
true.
That's what the family always cooked. But then at my house, like presentation and etiquette and preparation is very important in the Japanese culture. So just taking the time to make everything look neat, like the aesthetics is like very important in Japanese culture. So yeah, that's the biggest difference.
Speaking of that, I heard that slurping in the Japanese culture is actually a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah?
That was yes.
Yeah.
So if you slurp my grandma's noodles, like really a big thing, and it's kind of fun. Because everyone thinks, like in America, if you eat loud or chew loud, it's very disrespectful.
Yeah.
But in the Japanese culture, if you slurp noodles, it's actually chef.
And that's interesting because you did say, like in American culture, you can't really chew loud or make any noises when you eat with noodles. And for me, you know, when I was a kid, you could eat, you know, noodles or spaghetti like that, and then, you know, you slurp it up and then, you know, make a mess. And it's always like, you know, you can't do that at the table. But I read that in Japan, it's actually a good thing. And also, I think in Arabic culture, they burp after every meal. Is that correct in Arabic? I want to make sure that I get it right.
I'm not sure. Culture, but yeah, that might be
I've heard about it. I've
Yeah,
seen it a couple of times. I just want to make sure I'm attaching it to the right culture. But
right. Yeah.
You'll cut it out if it's wrong. Don't worry.
Say it again. So in terms of food, Luigi, we spoke a little bit. How about I mean, one thing that I realized is you guys have like 6 different like phases in your eating process. You know. Where's
Talking about.
Say it again. Say it again.
What day of the week are you talking
Yeah,
about?
so you guys take your time when you eat, right? Because if you're gonna have 6 different
We don't have 6 meals, but I think Italians are still the only population in the world who will talk about food while eating.
So they talk about the
We're
food they're eating.
so passionate about it that even while we're eating, we will talk about different kinds of food, even with the ones we're not eating. We'll talk about the restaurant, being at a restaurant with lasagna like nobody else. So it's it is a culture, but you have to keep in mind Italian food, unlike French food or other cultures that respect food in a very high level fashion. Italian food really comes out of the Italian regions, and it's fundamentally family food from an agricultural background. And that's why every region of Italy has very distinct kinds of food. You will find mostly butter in the north, you will find mostly olive oil in the south as main condiment. But in general, it is very well respected by everybody. In Italy, the worst offense you can do to anyone is throw food away. And it's also very traditional when you visit someone, you bring food. And that food is always appreciated. Maybe not really very disrespectful not to. You know, you grew up with that, but because Italian cuisine is fundamentally a simple cuisine, our biggest issue when we travel around the world is, first of all, we're very affectionate to our own cuisine. And because it's a very simple form, if you think about it, if you think of pasta, if you think of pizza, if you think of any forms of breads, we have a lot of varieties of bread in Italy. If you think of risotto, if you think of lasagna, if you think of anything that's traditionally attached to Italian food, it's all very simple. Of which are even street food. If you think of pizza, pizza is really street food. But because of its simplicity, it has to be done. Rice and beans, for example, there's an art to the rice and bean, just like there's an art to the pizza. Many people don't appreciate that, and that's their loss. You have to be able to appreciate what's behind something if you appreciate what a good pizza is and why it is good, rather than a bad, cheap, poorly made pizza and why that is bad. And it's bad not only for taste, it's bad for your health, it's bad for many other things.
Are you talking about American pizza?
Because
Maybe
maybe talking about Scandinavian pizza. But the truth is, it's all about the ingredient. And a chef can appreciate that. If things are done properly with the right ingredients, with fresh ingredients, with top of the line olive oil. If the olive oil is rancid, your food is rancid.
Base is important.
And unfortunately, if your taste is destroyed by the fact that all of your life you ate rancid olive oil, that you're accustomed to that. Not accustomed to that, it becomes difficult to be in a place where you don't eat that kind of food made in that kind of way. That's why Italians become the chefs of the world, because wherever we go, we need to go to someone who cooks like us.
I thought it was the French that were the cooks of the world.
It is true. You have to give the French what the French are due. The high cuisine, which is a French invention, is definitely where they rule, unchallenged. But that's why I was saying it's a different form of cuisine. The high cuisine was really formed in the cuisine of the kings and the noblemen of France. Italian cuisine is completely different, just like the Caribbean cuisine comes from the bottom, not from the top.
That's true. Oh, wow, that's interesting.
So it's the people who manage to, in a way, impose their cultural traditions to the rest of the world. If you think about it.
Patrick, did you learn about that in culinary school? Like what he's talking about how like the food originated from the cuisines?
In school, my opinion, I think they made it seem like everything came from France.
Le cordon bleu, le cordon bleu.
That's actually where I went. David saw was like, no. They make it seem like everything was from France, and French invented everything. Then I had this little kid. French was the first one to put it in the book. But cooking, for example, like you said, the French cuisine really comes from top and translated to bottom, and so many it was coming from the bottom, it's really coming at the top. Where it was for the poor to eat chicken feet. Now you go to find 5-star chicken feet on the plate.
Yeah.
You know,
Now it's fine dining.
Now it's fine dining. So wherever you're from, if it's good to you, if your food is good, then you will be good for most. Don't be like maybe. So what you can do, maybe you can take your culture, what you owe, and like that's what I try to do on a day-to-day basis. Take my food and put it in the fine dining place where it could be more appeal in our eyes, because I always say we eat with our eyes first.
Right.
You know. If you don't know that, right?
Yeah.
But that's what food is. That's what really comes from. When we hear about New England ham chowder, what it really comes from. When we hear about Cajun in America, like soul food, where it really comes from. So I have to say that when we talk about coming from the bottom, as African slaves, they did a really good job with creating that flavor. Yeah, because they didn't have the filet mignon. They had the rough cut of meat.
Facts.
So it really comes from generation, I would say. Right. So we should all.
Fact.
So I knew that food would be one of our favorite topics here because we all actually have to have it on a daily basis. So, Yubesca, tell us a little bit more about Venezuelan food.
Ok, en Venezuela la gastronomía es demasiado grande. Demasiado. Pasa que en Venezuela, en tiempos atrás, llegaron muchos inmigrantes y hay una mezcla realmente de gastronomía. No es solamente los frijoles negros con el arroz y la carne. Es muy común ese plato en los latinos con diferentes nombres. En mi país es pabellón, en Cuba es ropa ropa vieja.
Ropa vieja, yeah.
Ropa vieja. Okay. Pero en Venezuela, como ya saben, es muy común lo que es la arepa. Si la han escuchado, es ya creo que a nivel mundial. La arepa es lo más popular. Hallaca, que es un plato navideño. También tenemos asado negro, que es una carne negra. Tenemos una gran variedad. Es súper grande la gastronomía. Solo que lo más popular es lo que más se conoce, como te dije. Platos y frijoles negros.
See, very similar to our food, the Haitian food, Caribbean food. You know, we definitely have the rice, and usually it's like digicole, as we call it. It's like the rice and beans.
Yeah.
We call it stuck rice. You know.
Yeah. Solo que es diferentes sabores.
Yeah.
Sí, los frijoles negros no saben igual. Las regiones tienen una forma distinta de prepararlas. Unas son más condimentadas, otras son hechas más al natural. En mi país suelen usar para condimentar las comidas más natural, no con muchas especies, no son tan saladas, no son tan fuertes como otras que he probado. Pero sí, es bastante delicioso y amplia la gastronomía.
Nice. I live in the Raw, so I get to eat a lot of Venezuelan food. So I get to experience a lot of the things you're describing, and I all love it. I love it all. I love it all. Monty, tell us a little bit about your culture when it comes to food.
Well, back home we eat everything from, I guess you'd say, from head to tail is the way to put it. And then, like he was saying earlier, there's certain parts of the meat or the chicken, the cow, whatever it is, that are reserved for like the lower people. And then usually what happens is the head of the household, so like the man of the house, will get certain parts of the cow, for example, will get the gizzard of the chicken. It's considered like a delicacy. So there's, I guess, like a hierarchical thing that goes on with food and how it's presented to certain people and who gets to eat what part. And another thing with just the food back home is that it used to be that food would be tied to an act or like an event or something like that, but that's been lost because before, traditionally, the reason why, like when you have a visitor coming to your house, you present them with like a full chicken because they're visiting and they have to eat like the whole chicken, or you present them with something like that. But now the way it works is people in the village, when someone from the city, for example, is visiting, they'll be expecting that person to bring them stuff, and they'll get excited like, oh, we're gonna eat well because this person is coming from the city. And so there's been like a disconnect in the translation over time or something like that, where people are now expecting the people from the city or from the diaspora, for example, to bring things back home and feed people, as opposed to where it originates from is that when a visitor would come in, everybody in the community would pitch in and put stuff together to present to the visitor, you know, to like welcome them and give them, just make them feel welcome, feel at home, like eat all this food. And the only reason why everybody would get to eat when a visitor came around is because there'd be so much that would be put in together from the whole community that there'd be so much left over that everybody could eat. It wasn't that for people has been lost a little bit in translation, and I feel like it should go back to the way where the community all pitches in and, you know, contributes to welcoming visitors and just sharing, you know, the love and everything like that. And also, I think this happened maybe with colonialism, is that now we had a staple food of mealie meal, where we'd grind the mealie meal into a powder and then make like almost like a cake, and that would be like our starch that would have with different vegetables and meats and different condiments like that, ground nuts and stuff like that. But now what's happening is, first of all, the mealie meal is highly processed and it's not healthy anymore. So there's an issue of malnutrition, at least in Zambia. I can speak for Zambia, because Shima is what it's called. As opposed to having a balanced diet, so they'll eat like a really big piece of nshima with a little piece of chicken, a little bit of relish, and that would be like their meal every day. And there's increase in the malnutrition because of that. So I think just going back to the natural way of producing things, because there's nothing wrong with nshima, it's just that right now it's highly processed, and that's people's main source of energy, and we've kind of gone away from our true sources of energy through food, that we kind of need to like figure out what that was before colonialism. So
it's also part of our growth as a people all together. You know, to basically fill ourselves as much as we can and get as much energy. In Haiti, we do that a lot also. A lot of rice, a lot of cornmeal, a lot of bread, even water with sugar. You know, things that you get in the morning to get energy from. You know, so
we call
that's
that
interesting.
Sigolo. The
Which
water
one?
with the sugar.
Yeah,
that's also a popular drink.
You know, so there you go. Robert, tell us a little bit more about.
You actually hit a good point. I mean, you know, back in Native American culture, obviously we lived off the land. I mean, so a lot of people know about the traditional meals and the traditional foods that we utilize. And in Moorish culture, we pretty much eat from scripture. We eat from the Levitical laws. And if you go through Leviticus, it breaks down the types of food we're allowed to eat, or we're not allowed to eat, or we're preferring to eat. You know, like we can't eat shrimp, can't eat pork in Moorish culture. But you hit a real strong point. In America, in modern America, we really don't know what anything tastes like, truthfully, because there's so much processed food and chemicalized food that when you travel the world, and I encourage everybody from America who hasn't traveled to just go travel the world and taste the food and engulf yourself in the culture. But when people do travel, they say, oh man, it doesn't taste the same, or it doesn't taste right, or it's I don't like it. No, it's because your taste buds have been living off processed food for so long. You don't know what real food, we don't know what real food tastes like, you know, and that's one of our issues. We think that, you know, hamburgers and hot dogs and even certain fruits, bananas, how they look in the grocery store look nothing how they look in real life.
Like
you know, exactly.
Life,
You know, everything has been processed, and now we have the genetically modified organisms that, you know, they're genetically engineering the food. So a lot of the population haven't had a chance to engulf ourselves in the natural form of food. So we don't know how to contrast the difference. We think the food that we're eating is the real version of the food. And when you go eat the real thing, a lot of modern Americans think it's nasty.
Right.
You know, so I mean that's the biggest point for me, and I really encourage people to go just travel across the world and try as many different things as possible. And that's why one of my favorite shows was with Anthony Bourdain, rest in peace. That guy used to travel everywhere and just try all.
Isn't that like a dream job?
Yeah,
it's like the most perfect job ever.
And you could just see him getting down, man, and just see the difference in the way the food is cooked and the love and the way it was prepared. So, you know, that's the main thing that I just want to emphasize in that point is just try the real thing, you know, opposed to shunning it, you know. So.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because that people, Americans at least, when they try the real food, tend to hate it.
Right.
But it was the complete opposite experience for a cousin of mine who grew up in the UK in London, and the first time she traveled to Zambia, she tried the food and she was like, "This is so delicious. This tastes so good." It got to the point that when she went back to the UK, she asked her mom whenever she was traveling to Zambia to bring back onions. Just onions. She was like, the onions taste so much better. They're so tasteless in the UK, is what she said. So. Yeah, you could either realize like this is how it's supposed to taste and be like, this is awesome.
Right,
I want more of this.
Like the chemicals, you're eating chemicals. Like
it's so interesting because I used to, back in the day, I used to play music and used to travel a lot more than I travel now. So I used to go out and visit other countries and other cultures and other cities and stuff. And we had a very band member. And everywhere we would go, and I remember we went to France and I was like, man, I want to experience the real French cuisine. And it was like, man, I want some McDonald's.
Exactly.
I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he goes to McDonald's and he's like, that's not McDonald's. Yeah, no, right? And it was like, that's not McDonald's. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, man, come on, man. It's like, try something different. He's like, nah, he doesn't want it. He doesn't want to mess with any of that. He doesn't want the escargots or whatever, you know? So that was interesting. But for me, when I used to come here in Miami actually very often when I was growing up. My grandmother used to live here in Miami, so I used to come and visit her. And I remember our experience coming here every time we came out of the airport, and me and my brother was like Burger King. It's like instinct. It was like airport, drive through Burger King, and go home, right? I'm like, man, it's like, for me, it was like part of the entire experience. From Haiti, I was already expecting me to go there and experience Burger King, right? And my grandmother's house actually was Burger King, so we would leave the house, walk, and go around the fence and go to Burger King every single day.
Wow.
You know, because we didn't have that in Haiti, and to me, it was the most wonderful thing ever. It was big Whopper, cheese, and like fries, and Coke, and the smell, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it was.
Chase a smoothie.
Say it again.
Chase and a smoothie.
Yeah, exactly. Like
it's more calories.
Yeah, it's like
It's not healthy for
nothing is healthy. But what I realized also when, you know, obviously when I got older and now living here in the past 15 years and being pretty much Americanized, is that the drive-through, the fast food concept developed here in the States actually has such an impact on how society is evolving right now. And maybe the reverse, maybe society has such an impact on how we eat, because now everything is fast-paced. You know, you work until like 6 and then you have to get home in traffic for an hour. By the time you get home, you can't cook, so you have to go through a drive-through. You pay $10 and you get a bucket of chicken, and you get pizza, and that's your dinner.
Yeah, I'll say we find an excuse to eat out.
We find,
but I think basically I think fast food or restaurant. I think it's us not cooking at home.
Right. Yeah. People aren't even sitting at the table with their families anymore.
It's
you know?
us
At all.
not cooking at home.
Yeah.
And that's
Growing up,
where-
that-
that's where.
Right.
Yeah,
You got
exactly. We have
yeah.
Uber Eats. We have. So
Which
they
is even
do-
more convenient. So now you can
convenient.
stay. You don't even have to go out, and you have Uber Eats to eat out of all the restaurants. For me, eating
Right.
out in a restaurant is an event. It's
Right.
it's fun. It's an activity.
Right.
Yeah.
Americans really eating out is what because convenience is actually the,
Well,
the fact.
I believe that that's just the way they marketed it.
Right.
Exactly.
Whatever you do, put the right marketing behind it.
Right.
But if we really want to, like for example, I'm a chef, right?
Right.
We'd be like, what do you eat at home? I'll be like Subway.
Actually, actually, not really. I read that
It's in
Subway
Publix.
is more processed. Subway is actually more processed than a lot of those other foods. Even like the veggies with everything that's put on there, so they can stay in that little thing for the entire day.
It's about the money, and you know what's kind of scary? The processing and the modern Americanization of the world. You can go to Dubai or China. I mean, there's KFC and McDonald's there now when it wasn't there 10, 15 years ago. You know, and now I think the culture is the sustaining power. I mean, it's what is our root to our natural selves, and when we lose our culture, we lose our way, and it's starting to happen in different populations.
I would say I think education has a lot to do where we spend so much time in school learning about chemistry,
Right.
Biology, when I've been taught of the fundamentals.
Right.
It should be mandatory to learn how to cook.
Yes.
Because that's just how we survive on a day-to-day basis.
Exactly.
It should be mandatory to teach about nutrition.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It should be
Yeah, you're right.
mandatory
It used
because
to be mandatory
because
Right.
in Zambia.
you realize that the healthiest people are those that cook at home.
Right.
I mean,
And
Right.
serious.
in Japan, nutrition,
You know?
sorry to interrupt,
No, that's
but
great, yeah.
nutrition is very important.
Oh yeah. Oh
It's a
yeah.
portion.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta eat.
Great.
I would say you gotta eat in moderation. And being a chef, I hear a lot of gluten free.
Yeah.
Gluten-free.
I'm organic.
How you know, it's like everyone has a gluten free. Some really do have.
Right,
You have
right.
to take it extremely serious. But when I sweat and cook something that's gluten free for someone to take it extremely serious, and I hear they're really not gluten free. They just don't want to
Just
eat
wanna go
gluten
with it.
free.
Yeah.
Like you just big
The
meat.
trend. Right.
Yeah,
But it's a trend. But think about it. Italian. What do they do every day?
Pasta.
Right.
Yeah.
French. What do they do every day?
Facts.
Asian. They eat their rice every single
Right.
day. I eat my rice every day. And if you give me a meal without rice, I'd be like, yo, where's the rice? I don't care if you have lobster.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the rice.
That's so
the rice is
funny.
really.
Right.
I'm not looking for dessert. I'm looking for the
Right,
rice
right.
to wrap up. But it's eating in moderation. It's
Right.
how
That's
we
key.
eat.
That's key.
And then if you cook at home, you can control. See here's olive oil. If you use vegetable oil, you say olive oil is healthier than vegetable oil.
Right.
But why is olive oil healthier than vegetable oil? Because olive oil promotes the good cholesterol.
Right.
Right?
Right. The good fat.
But olive oil and vegetable
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Moderation is key.
Moderation
For
is key
everything.
because if you
For
don't
everything.
know,
Right.
you're gonna keep carrying weight and be like, "Where's that weight coming? Oh, your olive oil. You're eating too much olive oil because it carries the same amount of calories."
Right.
It's interesting what you said about like culture and how it's spreading to the rest of the world, where KFCs and McDonald's and other such fast foods are developing.
Right.
But also just the lifestyle in America kind of forces people, like you said, you work up to 6, you have an hour. Like you're days, I'm supposed to like 10 a year and stuff like that.
Moderation, but
It's-
I wanted to try French food, everything, and then I went to Monaco, and I couldn't believe my eyes. The drive to try. I actually went to McDonald's. Like, I need to try it. And it was the best burger of McDonald's I've ever had. It was good.
Right.
It tastes awesome.
Yeah.
I would go back again. Why is the McDonald's over there? It's better, more flavorful, tastes healthier.
Right.
Than here.
Chemicals, processed,
Yeah.
the chemicals.
So-
Even just the
processing.
number of
The
chemicals
ingredients.
that are allowed.
Here,
They,
more
but,
completely different.
yeah,
All
the
different.
governments, there's different governments that sanction and allow these things, you know,
Yeah.
so.
Even just to get our food, even clothing, there's 1,000 chemicals that are not allowed in European
Facts.
clothing that are allowed here.
Oh yeah, a
So
lot.
yeah, there's a lot of things that you're actually putting on your skin.
And I've always had this question: why is organic food
Yeah.
so expensive? I mean,
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, you're mentioning organic food, and this is something
it's
that
the marketing behind it. That
no, but
makes
here's a big culture difference. In a lot of European countries, you see the food is labeled as most of the non-organic is the ones that are shown to you. So basically, beware, this is not organic. Here, they're promoting organic, so
Yeah,
everything
like-
else is not good.
Right.
But this is organic. That's why you should pay a premium for it.
Right.
And organic also comes in quotation marks.
Right.
Yeah.
Because their definition
Yeah.
of organic
Yeah,
is
they're
not.
different.
It's
They'll-
American.
There are
they'll-
loopholes. There are loopholes all around
Real,
that,
real
you know.
definition of organic. I think I read somewhere. You can tell which one is organic. They got two apples. One is organic, one is not.
Right.
There's no way you can tell.
Right.
But if they touch each other, then that one that was organic is non-organic anymore.
Is that what?
It's
It's
not
not
organic.
organic.
It's due to the genetic
The USA
modification.
has a
So because
The skin.
The USA has a
the
what?
sticker, yeah.
The skin?
Yeah.
completely
Yeah,
based
for
on
the organic
contamination, you know,
product?
it's like-
Right.
Yeah.
is
You have
the
a
USA has
correct
the
chicken. Raw chicken.
for
The sticker.
the certificate.
Yeah, that you can, and they have the color coding, and we even have seedless fruit.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you have
yeah.
fruit
How
with no
do-
seeds? Like, where's the seeds? I mean, you literally cannot find seeded fruit in a lot of our grocery stores. You can't find it. Like,
Dr. Sebi.
yeah, Dr.
Oh,
Sebi,
yeah.
absolutely.
I really love to listen to him, and I'll also do my research
Yes.
after him. But it's really when you like.
It's crazy.
All right, guys. So maybe we should have addressed that later in the show.
They'll chop it up. They'll edit it up.
Born in Italy, representing Europe.
Hi, I am Adyasha, a visual designer from India. I worked as the stylist for the product shoot with My Natural Paradise. Throughout the product shoot, I worked very closely with the products, and I must say that these body butters are the creamiest body butters I've ever laid my hands on. The products are a fantastic blend of organic raw materials and essential oils. It is evident that there are no added colors or chemicals because of the way they just melt on my skin.
The diaspora. We mentioned a lot of, at least for myself, I'm a diaspora of Haitian descent, or not even Haitian of nationality, basically. I'm a Haitian coming to here in the States to live. And each one of us have, in some way or another, if you're an immigrant, obviously, and you're coming here, have experienced some sort of culture shock. Not necessarily only food or relationships, religion, or a lot of different aspects, but that we're going to discuss throughout the show. But in terms of being a diaspora, who here is a diaspora in the States? I mean, I know I am. You are, Patrick, and maybe you, right?
Yeah.
But you two were born here.
I'm native, yes. I am.
So it's a little bit different, but the cultures are also considered still obviously a different culture than here, obviously.
Right.
But anything you guys want to share with me in terms of or with us in terms of, as you mentioned that also when diaspora was coming back home.
Yeah.
Right?
Rest of the people who go out in the world and then come back home are expected, like I said, to bring things back. So, even if you're here working in McDonald's with an iPhone,
Right.
you can just get another one over
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
What do you think?
Where do
Think
you
I'm
think
just
going?
shaking the tree and the money to fall?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that happens to me every time I go back home. It's like, hey, can you leave the phone with me? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm still paying for that phone. I mean, leave your watch or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's going back home. Living here is also a shock for a lot of people because they want you to come home and they're expecting you to come with a lot of money, a lot of gifts and stuff like that. So, what about you? Do you go back home often or no? No, right?
Ahora no puedo regresar. Pero Venezuela ha sido un país donde se ha dispersado las personas, porque, o sea, nosotros como en Venezuela era un país de muchos inmigrantes y ahora por circunstancias inmigrantes y ahora eso lo he notado, mi cultura está en noticias, cuando voy a trabajar en las calles también lo he visto.
Okay. All right, but I think I understood some of it, not all of it. All of it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm doing my best here.
One of the experiences I had when I went to France, right, was when I was speaking English. And I was in Huntsy where there's a lot of English people there. And then it was funny to me where they'd be like, oh, where are you from? I'm from Romania. And they'd go to me as oh, you're American. I'm like, how do you know I'm American? I'm like, well, when I speak English, they ask me where you're from.
Because our American is bastardized language. Like American is a bastardized language. It's a mixture of a lot of different languages. So we're not really speaking a native tongue. We're just
my Creole accent, my French accent. When I was overseas, they could hear my American accent.
Right.
But then when I was speaking French, they'd be like, really? Now you can hear my Creole accent. I was like, wow. So that's how I was like, yeah, I'm definitely Haitian American but I could also see in the culture they were dressed.
Right. That
So,
where you misnomer black people, most of us think that if you're black or African American or melanin rich, which we're actually Moorish Americans, but we think that if you're in America, you came here on a slave ship. If you have this skin color, you came here. We go through the school system and say, hey, your history starts at slavery. That's where it started for you. And
that's true.
That's where it's a slave. That creates an inferiority complex within a lot of people who don't do their own research. And because of that, you have the dynamic that we're dealing with right now. You have a lot of people out there who are not confident in themselves. They feel inferior. They feel they're helpless, not realizing that, hey, yes, some of us did come over here on slave ships. but a lot of us were already here. And some of us came here before any European knew how to sail. You understand what I'm saying? So to understand that is an empowering aspect that's missing from a lot of people with melanin-rich skin that are in this country. We have to realize that you can't let third parties tell your narrative. You can't look through your culture and your history through the eyes of Europeans, because that's how we're looking at our culture. Hey, we came here as slaves. We should be happy to be here, and we're inferior. And you have the results that we're dealing with now. Instead of, hey, I come from a culture. I come from a great people. I have a nationality. We were here. We did this. We did that. And I can do this. You know what I'm saying? So that's the flip side to the coin, from being here, that I just wanted to highlight.
No, that's important. And before you say anything, I want to say something real quick. It's like also as part of like that, the African culture, for example. Right. Africa is a continent.
It's a continent.
It has it's 100. Every country has their own identity. Yeah. Right. Yeah, there are a lot of similarities, just like in Europe. Or you're not gonna hear somebody say, Euro-American.
Right.
You're gonna hear Italian-American, French-American, or whatever. Right. You know what I mean?
I'm Guyanese.
So they have their identities and stories.
Exactly. That's what we're missing.
So that's what you're.
Like, so when I first got, I always ask myself, well, why do you keep saying African-American?
Right. It's a continent. You can't be two continents.
African-American.
You're saying you're two.
Why can't why can't it just all be American?
Right.
Just like born and raised in Haiti. Yeah.
You're Haitian American.
Because I came here and I'm Haitian American.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I'm in Haiti. I'm not Haitian American when I'm in Haiti.
Right. You're Haitian.
I am Haitian.
I'm not disconnected here. Luckily, I have my elders. I have my great-great-grandmother. She's still alive. You know what I mean? I can get the oral traditions. I do a lot of study.
You said your great-great-great?
My great-great-grandmother mother is still alive.
Whoa.
She's full-blooded Cherokee Indian. Her mother's full-blooded Cherokee Native American. Because Indians come from India. But your nationalities, you all are so empowered and cultured and feel that energy because you have that root. Our people here, they don't have that. They really think they're black people. This table is black. I haven't seen anybody out there that looks like that. Nobody. I haven't seen a Caucasian or European that looks like that color of the shirt. Hey, I'm Italian American. And like you said, Africa is a continent. You can't be African American. You can be Guyanese American. You can be Nigerian American. Continents, and it's used as a tool to denationalize us and strip us from our identity. And it's also used. Your birthright is everything. That's your culture ties you to your birthright, which is your land, your culture, your people, your mothers and your fathers. In the Bible and Scripture it says, honor thy mother and father, so your days long. When that's disconnected, you have what we're dealing with out here. So on the flip side of diaspora is people who are from here who don't know that they've been here for way before you've been here.
That's why I say culture in so many ways is the foundation of who you are. And when you don't have that foundation, where you that you're born in a country where it was mostly Native Indians.
Right.
But I'm called African. But which part? Where I'm from, for example, say you have Haiti and then you have Jamaica.
Right. Like what are you?
But I mean, I think most of
you're not gonna say Caribbean American.
Right. Exactly.
I think when I do my research, more of us slaves came from Senegal.
A lot.
So we have that background where we could go, but at the end, Jamaican and Haitian, it's similar culture, but very different culture.
And now
they're very different. Also,
tied back to a place where
colonial impact. All the French and
the key.
So colonial impact.
We all have more in common. All of us. We have more in common as humans than we have differences, and that's the main narrative that we need to focus on. We're looking at the differences when we have, and we also have to realize history. At one point in time, this is science. This is just science. The Earth was one landmass at one point in time.
Right.
So it was all one. You could walk from Africa, quote unquote, Africa to America at some point in time. You could walk. So there were migrations upon migrations upon migrations, and amalgamations and amalgamations and mixings and mixings. Yeah. The important thing is the narrative. If you don't have a concept of the true narrative, you're going to be lost. Your culture, that's the most powerful thing that you can have to your nativity. And, you know,
all right, we're going to take a quick break.
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting when I first came here and learned about, you know, American history and how there were Native Americans and then there were Americans.
Right.
And I'm like, that doesn't make the Americans.
Period.
The
like what
European Americans.
Right.
And yet they have to hyphenate
right.
the real
it's all
ones
about, like,
from
the narrative and
what would
about who's writing the story.
European American.
No European Americans. There's Italian Americans, there's German Americans, there's Russian Americans.
It's the narrative, because if you empower a people that genetically have power, it's over. So you have to control a man's mind to control his habits. So if I tell you, hey, I'm just gonna keep you lost in the sauce. Right now you're a Negro. Now you're a nigger. Now, excuse my language.
Yeah.
You know,
This is a big
You're a Negro. Now you're black. Now you're African American. 20 years from now it's gonna be something different. Now you're whatever. You know, instead of.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break and then we'll come back. A lot of heated stuff going on here.
Hi everyone, my name is Munti and I'm from Zambia representing Africa in the Culture Show. Keep an eye out for it. It's going to be
talk about traditions. You know, we're all coming from different cultures here, obviously, and we're all tied to certain traditions. To elaborate a little bit more about some of their traditions. The Haitian traditions, Patrick.
Tradition. I mean, there's a tradition. In 3 weeks, we're gonna wake up on January 1st, waiting for one thing.
Pumpkin soup.
The pumpkin soup. Soup. I mean, every January 1st, because that's the hangover soup, also we call it. Because
But do you know where it comes from? Now that's something else. It's deeper than, it's not January 1st as far as a New Year's meal.
Well, it's for the
It's for
because
we're also declared our independence on January 1st.
On January 1st, because we're also the first black independent country. You know, so, and then we help multiple countries gain also their independence, even Venezuela, Colombia, you know. So, but as for a tradition, we have our January 1st tradition. You gotta have that pumpkin soup. If I don't have it, I'm having the year started is not starting well for us. I mean, if you're Haitian and not having that soup, the year is not starting well for us. And then we also have a lot of time our Sunday tradition, because from Monday to Friday everyone works, and every Sunday everyone is looking for a place to go eat. It's either grandma's house, grandpa's house, wherever. So that's also a big tradition where we go somewhere to eat. That's a very
and here we go, going back to food.
I mean, eating on a table that was a tradition. Grew up
Eating as a family.
As a family, it's a must. That's how we get punished for our etiquette, which knife to hold and all that stuff. And always have daddy's always sitting, and you know, and then we know don't ever sit there because that's daddy's seat. If we sit there, you know what happens.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Tradition. We love our meat. Gotta have again. I'll go back to food again.
Everything is talking about food, eating,
Gotta
and
have the
everything.
rice and beans in there.
Christina, anything that stands out in terms of like tradition?
Well, definitely
Your
food, but I won't go there. But I guess for me, something I always look forward to when I went to Japan was every year, because my grandma lived in Japan, so I always looked forward to, it was like a candlelight ceremony that we did. So we did this once a year. And so when it got dark out, we would light candles and then wish them away. They were on like balloons, and we would wish them away.
Nice.
to bless our ancestors and just to remember our ancestry, because it's very important to like, I guess our elders are very important in Japan. So just to bless them and just kind of acknowledge them.
And that's like the Asian culture is very respectful. I think that's probably where it comes from also. Paying respect to our ancestors is something that's super important. Because of them, we're here. So it's pretty basic.
Yeah.
But that part of the culture with the lighting of the candles and the balloons and stuff, is it more so of an Asian culture? In Thailand, in Korea, is that true?
I think it is an Asian culture. I think it just comes from like the Buddhist religion of just like respecting elders and acknowledging and thanking them, and just to remember them, like to remember that they're here with us, but to just wish them well.
What about bowing down, like bowing to people? Is that something that you guys do to respect elders?
Yeah, and that's a tradition that happens nowadays too. It's not just like something that, or like an old-fashioned thing. We don't shake hands in Japan, and that's a big thing. Like when we greet, it's always bowing, but it's just the culture.
Yeah, it's similar. Well, it's kind of like a curtsy, where you kind of bend your knees and do that whenever you're greeting instead of shaking their hand. And even with knees, and then put the plate in front of the person. In a respectful way, so to speak. Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, I know of the French culture, for example, with the kissing thing, like kissing on both cheeks.
Yeah.
So we kind of like inherited that a little bit in the Haitian culture, because in the Haitian culture we get the Spanish, the American, so we get a little bit of everything. But the kissing thing for me, in France is something. And in the Asian culture is bowing is different, and shaking hands is it disrespectful? I've heard it's kind of disrespectful, right?
It's just
it's unsanitary.
The practical side.
But yeah, definitely. Like my grandma, because she lived with us for about 3 years in America, and so she was so used to like bowing, but then the Americans, it's like handshaking, so it was always like totally different culture greetings, I guess. So.
Yeah, in America, you don't even shake anyway.
It's just, completely different.
What about?
Ok, cada región tiene una tradición, un mito diferente. Voy a aprovechar de que estamos en el mes de diciembre para hablar de lo que es en general la tradición de Venezuela y volviendo a la comida.
Yeah, again.
Food.
Okay. En Venezuela tenemos la tradición de en Navidad reunirnos en familia para la preparación de los platos navideños. En este caso viene siendo la yaca. Ese plato requiere de varios procedimientos y es una tradición que se reúne a toda la familia y a cada persona se le asigna una tarea en la preparación. Luego se coloca música, el género se llama gaitas, todos bailan, toman una bebida que se llama ponche crema, tiene alcohol. Sí, y la familia no asiste a la preparación, suelen decir, ok, no vas a comer yaca. Esa es la tradición, una de las tradiciones más bonitas que tiene nuestro país en este mes. Hacemos la preparación de esa comida, pero así juntos en familia.
Very festive type of culture, especially during the holiday season.
Yeah.
All right, cool. What about you, Robert?
Well, sacredity of animals and plants. So, I mean, we understand that plants are more alive than people realize. So, if you're gonna ask permission to cut it or trim it or do whatever, you know, you have to speak to the plant. Even with animals, before you kill the animal, you know, thank the animal for its sacrifice. Thank, you know, the animal for lending its vibration and energy to you. That's on the native side. In the Moorish American culture, we don't shake hands either. We do what we call a hand press. So, you know, when you meet people and they do that, we don't do that. We just, it's a firm press. You just stay still. Nobody, there's no shaking. We don't shake hands. It's just that. It's just a press. We call it the press of friendship, and we just press. That's all we do. We don't do that. That's weird to us. So you'll see Moorish America, we press hands. When we greet each other, it's not a kiss, but it's more of a right, left, cheek to cheek. So we'll go right, left, right cheek. 2, 3, cheek to cheek.
So you guys do 3.
3. So it's like 1, 2, 3. You know, but we don't kiss. It's just more of a cheek, cheek to cheek. Yeah. So, but you'll see us do that. That's tradition. For Moorish Americans, Friday is Holy Day. So you'll see Moorish Americans in our full garb. You'll see me in this. This is called a fez. You know, you'll see a lot of us wearing this, or turbans, or other native headdresses and national headdresses and things like that. So those are the main traditions that you'll see us partake in.
And that's interesting because I can already imagine here, especially here in Miami,
right?
People not having any idea of what this represents.
Right.
You could be from anywhere,
right?
You know, and what are some of the reactions that you get?
Well, I mean, obviously, if you see this, a lot of people associate this with Masons and Shriners.
Okay.
So, you know, you see the Masons and Shriners wearing this, and a lot of them are Europeans. And a lot of them, they're just emulating, you know, what they've learned from us in ancient times. So, you know, this is our national headdress. It represents a lot of things. It represents the womb. You have the tassel that goes 360 degrees, which represents the sun. It represents woman because all of us come from woman. So nativity that connects you back to your, you know, so there's signs and symbols in everything we do. There's a reason for everything we do. So people see this, they say, oh, what is that hat? Or I seen a Mason wearing that before. Well, it's called a fez, and this is our national religious headdress. You know, so.
Interesting. Yeah, traditions are part of the foundations of what culture really represents, because we're taking some of that tradition that dates back years, thousands of years, to who we are today. So it's basically, to me, the tradition is almost a synonym to culture.
Yeah.
You know, but we use it in a different way because those are the foundations really of each culture. It's those traditions that we have as family that kind of like, you know, make culture happen. You know, if that makes sense.
Amen.
Hola, mi nombre es Yubesca, soy de Venezuela y represento la cultura hispana en el show de cultura.
It doesn't only moisturize your skin. It helps reduce fine lines, reduce hyperpigmentation, and it smells good. You can choose any flavor you want. You just have to go to the My Natural Paradise, which is www.mynaturalparadise.com/shop, and you choose any flavor. There's coconut, there's vanilla, there's orange peel, you name it. Every scent you want, and it's not every scent, but you have a lot of choices. I'm sure you'll find something you like there. This product has really changed my life, and I know it will change yours too. Just try it. For someone who has struggled with scars all her life, this product has helped a lot.
Tradition and culture have impacts on basically everything. We've spoken about food, about a lot of different things, language, but also relationships, marriage, you know, the dynamic of the man and the woman. And we know that it's very different from culture to culture.
Right.
Let's start with you, because I see you shaking like you want to share something.
Okay. Suelen pasar por un proceso. Okay. Viene primero la luego pues se deciden si van a ser novios. Una vez que son novios, es donde se involucran lo que son amigos. Tienen un periodo de noviazgo para seguir interactuando, conociéndose, es lo más común. Luego de ahí es que se toma la decisión de ver si suele culturas que se casan de inmediatamente, que se van a vivir juntos. Eso es la modernización ahora, hoy en día, que van y viven juntos sin conocerse. Y yo pienso que por eso es que hay muchos divorcios.
Okay.
Es mi forma de pensar. Pero realmente el proceso en mi cultura es ese que te acabo de decir. Primero se conocen, interactúan, luego se hacen novios, involucran a la familia y luego se decide si.
Yeah, again, you know, being, I guess, I think we should speak about that also, how geography plays a role in culture. So because we're close in geography, I mean, Caribbean, America, I think we have very similar cultures.
Yes.
But when we go, like, for example, Asia, Africa, Europe, and, you know, there's a little bit way religion, which we'll talk about, on how it impacts relationships. Anything on your end, Christina? I know you're young and everything, but how does your culture impact relationships?
Well, I would say we did not talk about relationships in my household.
Really?
At all. Yeah. So it's a very
taboo,
like, it's
really?
very, yeah, I was gonna say it's a very taboo subject. And even like showing affection, like my mom, I think for the first time told me I love you like last year. But it's but I know she loves me.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Like, but
Hey, same with me, man.
But that's what I'm saying. Like showing affection, talking about it is like as a family. So anything with relationships or love or, you know, it's always through my friends or outside the family.
And how do you bring that part for family and coming from your friends at school and stuff like that, and you're hearing that at home, and also being part of both cultures, the American culture and the Japanese culture?
Yeah.
How does it all make sense to you?
Growing up, identity was a big thing for me because I would go to school with American culture and the household, but I guess in the Asian culture, it's like I would never bring home a guy I was dating until I knew he was the one. Like, like don't introduce your like the guy you're dating. Like make sure he's the one. So it's just more it's more respectful for the family to not get involved in a relationship if it's not serious.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's pretty similar to even our culture. Because you kind of like, especially in Haiti, where it's a small country, it's a small community at times, and then we know each other. So if I'm bringing somebody home, it's like, oh, what's her dad's name?
Yeah.
You know, what's her mom's name? Where are they from? But I'm saying, I don't know any of that. You know, I'll go back. You know, I didn't ask, you know, or whatever. But and it's also a part of how culture in general. And she talked about that, how it's being modernized in a way where we're kind of like almost like a melting pot now, and kind of take a little bit from each culture. Because for me, it's not as important. Because, you know, when my kids would bring, I don't know, maybe we'll see when they grow up. It's not gonna be the first.
In the U.S. But there's just some small community where I can go to a Haitian party and then, like, you know, let's say I'm single, like I'm gonna find me a girl here, you know.
Right.
So oh, I know your dad. Like, oh man, I can't go crazy anymore.
It's always like
So
that.
it also gives us some kind of accountability, responsibility, you know, and getting to know where you're going. Whoever knows, who knows? But here, it's more of a melting pot,
Right.
you know. So I had a kind of like in Haiti, it's hard to chip, but here it's easy to chip.
Oh yeah.
Because you have
Mathematical equation.
What are the chances that you're dating someone from Venezuela and then you're also dating someone from Japanese background? What are the chances for them to know each other here?
Right.
Because that's the melting pot of the diversity of also the beauty of the U.S. is that we can interact so much.
Yeah.
But when you're in Haiti, all you're dating is Haitian.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in Jamaica, all you're dating is Jamaican.
Yeah.
So even when you come here from different backgrounds, you also have to adjust yourself to where you are, to your culture, your background, also to whoever you will be dating.
Right.
So you're not just dating her, you're dating her country,
Absolutely.
her culture,
Her family.
So that's also, I think the diversity here, it's a great thing.
Monty, how is it like in Zambia?
In Zambia, well, just in terms of relationships, I think that it's just constantly changing, constantly in flux. Because, for example, my grandfather had 13 children.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just like, and then my mom, who was one of the 13 children, only had, me and my sister.
Yep.
So it's kind of like things are changing. And then I'm sure when my mother was growing up, I talked to her about her relationships or anything like that. It was just like, when you're ready to settle down with someone, the man goes and asks for permission to marry the lady. The man goes to the wife's family, talks to uncles and the father and the mother, and brings like a plate of food. Who's getting back? It's a little bit different. Like my mom knows my sister's boyfriend, she knows my boyfriend, and yeah, we talk about relationships. But
Now-
I'll just say it's kind of.
No pressure on your boyfriend or anything like that. But if he were to propose to you, would he have to go to your family and ask for permission first?
He would, yeah.
Technically,
yeah,
is
yeah.
he listening to this right now? I mean, he's like, oh man, I have to go talk to her family.
I've told him about this before. I'm like, yeah, you
So
have
he
to
knows.
buy 50 cows because cows.
50 cows.
Wow.
Yeah, cows
Okay.
are really expensive. It's kind of like it's like buying maybe 10 cars or something.
Wow.
So for me, it depends on the province you're from, but where like my dad's province or tribe, the thing to do is they're very known for that. So to show respect or to become part of that family, you need to like contribute your cows.
Wow.
Yeah. Or
So
you can buy me
instead of
Ferrari.
instead of the ring and the cows, because that's an
With the-
expensive.
Yeah, no, with the integration of like the two Western culture and then traditional, you'd have to do.
Oh my God. Let's get. relationship?
Well, in Native culture, it's about rites of passage, really. I mean, if you want to marry my daughter, you know, you have to go through these, you know, obstacle courses, mental, physical, and spiritual, to make sure you're worthy of it, one. And, you know, back to what you guys were saying about who's your father, who's your mother? As a modern American saying goes, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So we do that because, you know, if your mother is crazy and your father is crazy, there's a high probability that you may be a little off. So it's kind of a reference point in all cultures. I think that's universal, to look at the mother and father to see the probability of where you're going to land. In Moorish culture, it's more about not amalgamating too much. The culture has been lost, and we're trying to preserve it. So it's been watered down so much that a lot of Moorish Americans, they're about marrying Moorish and keeping it within the culture to keep it pure and preserve it. But at the same time, if you find somebody that you're in love with outside that culture, you're not going to be shunned or not going to, you know, hate you or anything like that. It's just about keeping the culture pure. So for me personally, I've been with my wife. We've been together. About balance for us, just learning and growing together. Because, you know, for modern Americans, like I said, it's about learning our culture. We weren't go back and connect the dots, so we're kind of just learning together, and that's been the real prize for both of us, is just learning new aspects of ourselves and merging it together. So,
and that's interesting because, I mean, at least in Zambia, society plays a huge role in people's relationships. Like there's a lot of societal pressure.
Facts.
Like for women, for example, when you're late 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s, even like your friends and your relatives, everybody's gonna be pressuring you to get married. They'll be like, what's wrong? You can't find a man? Let me introduce you to this person. Like,
right.
But they can't just understand, like some people just don't want to get married, maybe, or, you know. But it's just, and what happens also on the flip side with men is that they'll get married really young before they're ready.
And experience anything.
Yeah, and then they'll continue like their single ways.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think that's across the board.
That's across the board. That's across the board.
But it's only get married when they're ready, but because of societal pressure, they feel like at a certain age they have to get married, and then everything falls apart because they're still cheating. And then also women are expected to stay with the man, even if he's like doing other things or starting a whole other family.
Wow.
Yeah. Because a lot of the family responsibility falls on the woman to keep the household together as like the glue, and she should bear all the burdens, so to speak, and just kind of grin and bear it. And yeah, but like I said, it's a shift, and there's like some changes happening and some westernization and just opening of the minds, and people are, you know, not tolerating as much.
Right.
But before, traditionally, first of all, women would get married really young to like older men, and then in addition to that, they'll just accept the gender-based violence and, you know, things like that.
Things have changed even nowadays. Parents will be more open to talk issues. But parents didn't. My mom wouldn't. You know, I couldn't even say that word sex. You know, my mom be, you know, but it's different.
You can spell it but not say it.
You know, it's this one thing I can talk to my mom about. There's one thing I can't talk to my dad about.
Right.
You know, I remember growing up, you know, 13 as a man, your voice started changing. And so you noticing what's going on, but it was my sister that would talk to me about relationship, you know? I remember that it was my sister that would show me how to protect yourself out of cucumber. I was like, oh my God.
What?
Cucumber.
You are showing you on a cucumber.
Yeah, my mom wouldn't talk about it.
Wow.
But
Is that where your passion for food?
I was like, what is going on here? 13, 14. My sister's calling me, and she's like 3-4 years older than me. And when she called me, it felt kind of like, what's she calling me for? It felt like she was about to show me something.
Right.
But I mean, she did. It was kind of like, holy, what's good? But Exactly, but it was a great experience. It was a great thing, and she was one of the first. She was the person that told me I was probably 17 or 18 or maybe 20. She was like, "Bro," I was like, "Yeah." She's my older sister. Like, before you marry any woman, make sure you do all the crap you have to do outside.
Facts. Yeah.
Like, make sure you play around, get out the way. So whenever you marry that woman, that doesn't have to be with it.
Right.
Say. I don't know how we translate in English.
Thin skin? I don't know.
The skin is weak. Yeah, sensitive skin. You know.
Yeah, sensitive skin,
Even if you're married, doesn't mean it can't never happen.
Right.
But if it happens, it can only happen one time. Versus if you never get it out of the way, it will happen over and over all the time. So that's one of the messages. But if I talk to my mom about relationship. Like my dad would be mad, but like, oh man, this not fun. And then my mom would be like, what are you telling him? I mean, but it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, because like it just emphasizes, I guess, community and how I have so many cousins and aunties and uncles that I could talk to easily back home. And that's just a completely different culture compared to here, where it's just your immediate family that you essentially interact with. Parents, or when you get married and your children, that's like your family, that's who you talk to. But back home is even your neighbors, like, you know, everybody, there's a better sense of community. And so when you say like your sister would
my sister
basically help bring you up, like help with your
basically
upbringing.
she did.
So like
Basically
takes
did.
a village.
Yeah, she basically
oversees
did.
a bigger village.
I mean, she knows everything from my first relationship till now. She knows everything. As if,
But your mom?
No, she doesn't.
She don't want to.
So that's why, for example, very carefully, wherever I'm dating, I don't bring a person home until I know I'm serious about it.
Yeah.
Once I bring it home, or they just pass by, they see me, they be like, "Oh, that's your." I'm like, "Oh, so I have to make sure." I asked her out, my girlfriend.
Right.
She said yes. Then I could bring her home. Yeah, that's my girlfriend.
Right.
You know. But if a month goes by, they don't see her. They be like, "What happened?" I'm like,
I think the Asian culture is very similar because you don't bring around just any person to the house or like, can I invite this person? No, like I'm not going to introduce my brother.
But it's I think it's great because it's great. It's great.
But do they have to ask for permission to your parents before they would ask you, like, say, to marry them?
Yes, but it's interesting because my dad is American, so it might go back to the American culture. But I think overall it's pretty similar, and like you said, like things are changing, so it's traditional, but I think it's still more open. It's becoming more open and less taboo to talk about relationships. But traditionally, I think you would still ask like the father.
Yeah, asking for permission, actually, I think it's pretty universal. I mean, a lot of cultures actually have that.
It's respectful. Yeah.
It's nice. It's cool.
Right. It's respect.
In my country, some people has their relationship for 6-10 years.
Yeah.
For 60 years?
10 years.
Before they get married, or just?
Or 10 years before getting married.
At least they know. Make sure you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of cultures you have
It's
arranged.
It's very normal.
Very normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. I think it's more about understanding each other than
That's true. Then the culture,
than the culture behind proposing and getting married. You know, because I always say that no matter what, when you're about to get divorced, nothing will stop it from it. You know, the only thing that can stop is the continuous love and communication and understanding of each other. There's no like, oh, I just got $10,000 ring. It's not gonna stop me from it. Even your kids cannot stop you from getting a divorce.
Right.
You know, so the only thing that can stop is, I believe, just you and that other person to continue find the same common ground of talking, communicating. I mean, at some point we're gonna lose something.
Right.
You know, we're gonna lose because when you say, "Oh, you should know me by now," I'm still trying to learn about myself every day. It's not like it's more.
Yeah, and I think we're understanding each other pretty well right now, and that will lead us to our next break, and we'll be back in a few.
Hi, my name is Baiteza, and I am from Haiti.
My natural paradise product it doesn't only moisturize your skin. It helps reduce scar irritation, and it smells good. You can choose any flavor you want. You just have to go to the My Natural Paradise website, which is www.mynaturalparadise.com/shop, and you choose any flavor. There's coconut, there's vanilla, there's orange peel, you name it. Or every scent you want, and it's not every scent, but you have a lot of choices. I'm sure you'll find something you like there. This product has really changed my life, and I know it will change yours too. Just try it. For someone who has struggled with scars all her life, this product has helped a lot.
Of mothers, fathers, siblings, even sometimes like family members overall differ from culture to culture. We all obviously all know that. Anything that stands out in your culture in terms of, like, let's say motherhood, fatherhood?
Culture, the mother, the matriarch is really the most important aspect of the culture. We say if you teach the mother or the woman, you teach a nation. And it's the truth, because without women, not exist. So the mother, the woman, is at the forefront in the sense of they have the highest honor and the highest regard. The male, the men, we're supposed to protect, provide, and lead. So in our culture, in Moorish culture and Native culture, we always have the highest regard for the divine woman, the female, the mother, the matriarch. That is the foundation of the nation. If the woman is out of whack, the nation is out of whack, and it's that simple.
That's plain and simple, right?
Yeah.
It is kind of universal also, but also I think, like, when it comes to fatherhood, for example, that's probably more diversities and contrasts within different cultures. Anything stands out on your end in terms of motherhood and fatherhood?
I mean, it would basically be echoing what he just said, but what I like to do for just myself, my own personal experiments, is just looking at things at a very basic form, like in like a most natural form. For example, looking at like lions and lionesses, and how the lionesses are the ones that go out and hunt, and they also raise the cubs, while the lions just like protect the family and have, multiple lionesses that they interbreed with. It's just an interesting dynamic, and I feel like that's reflected as well in just the essence of who we are as males and females and how we behave. I know the men like to think like they're the breadwinners, but really they're just like essentially like the protection, and the women really are the ones who nourish, literally with our bodies. We nourish children and bring them up, and we make sure they're protected and well fed and all of that, and the male is like has a supporting role and the physical like strength, brings us the strength to the relationship, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's that part is pretty much universal. I think in many different cultures where the mother, like you said, it's everything. It's the real like essence of who we are, nourishing us, even like protecting us, but in different ways.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the father seems to, in a lot of cultures, seem to maybe like wander around a little bit more. Like you said, like the lions and the lioness. And we're basically animals also. We're just a different species, right? So a lot of those things apply to us also. And I find it interesting that amongst different cultures, it's represented in different ways. Like in the Haitian culture, I think it's again very similar to the Hispanic culture. Men tend to be a little bit more the macho type. Even though today, in the modern world, men are a little bit more involved in fatherhood.
Right.
I mean, at least that's what I'm seeing.
Right.
Me as a relatively new father, I like to be as involved as possible.
Absolutely.
And also play the role of the mother sometimes, which is not back then in Haiti, for example, that would not happen.
Right.
Like you don't take care of kids that much.
It was strictly I'm here to provide.
Exactly, that's it.
That's it.
But
I'm
here,
doing enough. I'm doing my part.
Exactly.
I'm providing. I'm putting food on the table. I'm protecting. What else you want me
End
to
of
do?
story.
exactly.
End of story.
But also it shows that how times and evolution in a way impacts culture. Because culture is not as, especially in those specific areas, is not as strong as before, where now it's a little bit more open. And I saw a documentary a couple years back called Babies, and it's basically a story, and there's no narration. It's not one word is spoken in that documentary. It's 4 babies in 4 different parts of the world. One is in Africa, one is in Asia, one is in the Western world represented by United States, and the last one I believe was in Japan, but I guess Eastern Asia. And showing you how the first year of the baby, the growth of the baby in their first year, how different it is from culture to culture, even from birth. For example, I remember the African woman, they put like some oil and some red, something like red on their stomach, right before birth, and there was no hospital, no doctors, no nothing. In contrast to the baby that was born in San Francisco. Machines everywhere, and the baby's born the same way and as healthy as the African baby. But you see how the roles of mothers, fathers, siblings, grandparents impact the overall, growth of the baby. So I thought that was super interesting. When I watched that, I was like, man, I never thought I could watch something for, I think it was an hour and 20 minutes or 30 minutes or something. Not one word was spoken. And it's a beautiful story. It's very touching, and it's also an eye opener into the importance of culture. So I encourage you guys, and even to those watching the show, to watch that also. So what about you? Motherhood, fatherhood, family, all together in terms of your culture. What does it represent for you?
En mi cultura, como en todas las culturas, nuestros padres suelen ser como muy sobreprotectores, y los primeros principios y valores están enseñados en la casa. Pero somos desde pequeños conectados a sistemas educativos, como escuelas, deportes, artes, y así es la crianza en mi cultura.
Okay. All right, cool. So again, very, very, very similar. What about you, Patrick? Anything stands out?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, for example, my dad, he was a lot stricter on me and my brother than he was on my sister. And I didn't understand why, but over the years you understand that as men, we're a lot more irresponsible.
That's true.
It's a fact.
Yeah, facts.
I mean, fact is a fact. So, sad to say, but true, right? And it was a lot harder. So, when, for example, my sister and I were like this. So, if we talk about lying, we're very professional at that. So, when my sister wanted to go out, we asked my mom. We just knew that my mom was gonna say, "I saw that."
Right.
It was like, oh my god. So we had to sit down and come.
Right.
And then we're like, okay, so my sister, so you go first, you the others, you go ask.
Right.
And then it goes like, yeah, Dad, can I go out? Oh, Patrick is coming with me too. As if like,
Yeah.
okay, you can go,
Yeah.
but as if like I was gonna, me going there, it's like thinking I'm probably gonna, but once we get to the party, we go like, bye. We're going separate, you know? And that's the difference. For example, my mom was more kind of like nurturing us, right? My dad was the one that's trying to put the tough skin on us.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? So at the end, the balance between them was perfect.
Right.
The balance between them was perfect. But when I listen sometimes to my dad's story, I'm like, that's probably why he was so hard on us. Because he doesn't want us to repeat what he did. When I first learned how to drive, so he'll go pick up my mom at work every afternoon. He asked me to drive. 17, yeah, I want to drive. So 17 years old, that's me driving. And then all of a sudden I hear this noise behind. What are you doing? Put your. But then, like a few days later, to hear him telling us, you know, grandparents like to tell stories at night. And when the parents drop us off, and then I'm hearing him story that my grandmother saying that my grandpa used to race cars on 2 wheels. I'm like, hold up. It's very different. Sure, my grandmother, she's from Tahiti.
Right.
So, but she had a French and Tahitian. She always kept her culture very well. But then my grandpa was the one that was overprotected. Man, he was very overprotected, but extremely serious.
Right.
But when I always thought my grandpa was always this serious guy because he was so strict.
Right.
Until I would hear a story of my grandmother say, "Did you know that every Monday your grandpa dad had to pick him up in jail every Monday because of fighting?" I was like, "What?" I was like, almost there. I was like, "What? What are you talking to me?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, that's why you're so strict."
They know what you're capable of because of what they used to do, so they don't, you know. So you hit it right on the head.
That
It was the
makes sense.
complete opposite for me growing up. Like, whenever my female cousins, because I was younger, and like my 18, 20-year-old cousins would go out, and they'd be out past maybe 2 a.m., it would be such a big deal. The next day there'd be a family meeting called where my uncle would have everybody there. Like, just to like set an example and show like it's not okay for women to be out past 2 a.m. Meanwhile, my male cousins would be out all the time until like 6 in the morning because back home like parties go on like all night. Yeah. And they wouldn't have any family meetings called on them. So it's just kind of like the males, it was okay essentially for them to be out. They weren't worried about them. They thought they could take care of themselves. Nothing dangerous would happen to them. But with the women, it was kind of like a protective way.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes,
you need,
that's
no, you
was
need,
really
even
more
if you
protecting you from the hunters. After that night, you know. But having uncles is great because sometimes I'm closer to my uncle. I could tell them something versus my dad. You know. I remember there's one time I came home, it was 8 in the morning after a party because our car broke down. You know, and my uncle knew
Your car broke? Allegedly.
Our car really broke down, you know. But my uncle knew that, and he came. But he had already called my dad because they were looking for us. My dad was extremely pissed, right? So luckily, my uncles looked at my dad and was like, "Bro, you were young too, remember?" And then when I got home, everything kind of like calmed down because sometimes our parents forget they were young.
Yeah, that's that. They don't want you to go through what they went through. They know what you're capable of from what they used to do. So it's just a shield.
Yeah, and I think it's more like, to Robert's point, I think it's more like they remember so well.
Right.
It's not like they don't remember. They remember so well that they don't want you to make the same mistakes.
Right.
You know, so it's part of like kind of like their protective way.
Absolutely.
Like,
Protective mechanism.
Yeah.
Lower down and
Exactly.
but we still have to go through it.
I do it right now with my children.
What about you, Christina? Explain a little bit the dynamics of motherhood and fatherhood in your household.
Yeah, it's pretty, universal, like the gender roles, like the mother's more nurturing and the father's there to protect, which is a good balance. But something that's different that I've noticed is like the affection in the families. Like the Asian culture, we don't show a lot of affection, although we know it's there. But it was just so different because like my mom didn't. I've never seen my mom cry. So like during graduation or during like big events, it's like there's no emotion. It's like this.
Asian dads.
Asians are like that.
Yeah,
Asian dads.
we're pretty similar. Yeah. Like there's no crying. It's just like this is part of life. Like good luck in college. Like we gave a hug and like it was just very like no emotions. But
yeah, my dad was like, so the restaurant we're eating at,
Yeah.
is it
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's more about them showing strength, I think.
They're always supportive, even though they're not emotional. They're always there for me. They're there for my big events. They're supportive, but it's just in a different way.
Yeah, it's interesting for me too. I mean, the way you show your love is gonna vary.
Right.
For me, it was not really a demonstration of love. It was more through actions and you know, just being there in different ways. You feel it, so it's different. You know, so I'm not used, but my kids are like, I tell them I love them like 10 times a day though, which is weird because I was never really told that growing up that much.
That's probably
right.
That's probably because you were even thinking why they never said I love you, but when you have your kids, you tend not just to keep what they teach you, but to also change. Because there's certain things you may not like, then when you have your kids, you're gonna actually do it. You're gonna be a lot more affectionate because you didn't get that, but you want your kids to be.
That's so funny because me and my sister, I guess we're in the transition phase. So with me and her, we'll say "I love you too" to each other instead of saying like immediately like "I love you."
Hold on, what? You just start off by saying I love you too?
I love you too, like jokingly, and she'll be like, "I love you too." Yeah, we're just kind of like adapting, transitioning into that whole "I love you" phase.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I mean, I don't like, even with my brother and all kind of stuff. Whenever we come into like an "I love you" situation, there's gonna be like tears or like weirdness going on. Like, it's too heavy. It's like, man, don't say that.
It's funny.
You haven't told us.
You know, it will.
Try I love you.
Try it.
Put it out there. It's gonna get weird. It's gonna get quiet.
In Haiti, I mean, we speak French or we speak Creole, but in so many ways, sometimes it's kind of weird when we speak in French to a guy. Because we tend to.
That's very interesting.
That's very interesting because when we speak French to the woman because we're trying to, you know, always got yo, what's up? And we just go the slang with the man, you know. Of course, when we talk to our uncles, we do speak French and we mix it with Creole and stuff. But really, mostly speaking Creole.
Yeah, we'll almost never speak French.
Yeah,
well, because it's more respectful if you speak French, you know, so when you speak to a woman,
But when it comes to women, even we're going to speak Creole, but we address her in French first. Hey, c'est comment vas-tu? I'll be like, ça qu'a fait? You can hear the difference. Ça qu'a fait? Comment vas-tu? And then we'll go to Creole, and then we'll still never go too far from Creole. We'll go back to French. But Jeff and I would just go Creole all the way out.
Interesting.
I don't know why.
That's a good segue to the next topic, which is cool facts. And that's actually a cool fact because it's true. Like growing up, you know, you speak French to your mom, your dad, or somebody older than you, or women. And you don't necessarily speak French to other men. I mean, in a professional setting, you do. You know what I mean? So anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about cool facts in a little bit.
What's up, everybody? This is Robert S. Bay, representing Moorish Native Americans. Definitely look out for the Culture Show. You do not want to miss it.
I'm glad I found just the right product at the right time that nourishes my skin just the right way.
we're about to wrap it up, but first, before we do that, let's talk about some interesting, I mean, everything that we spoke about is actually interesting, but any cool facts that maybe you guys want to share with us about your respective cultures?
I can start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mine will be related to the famous explorer David Livingstone. Which him found. Yeah, he was a British explorer. Just in terms of names and how names come about in Zambia, the Victoria Falls, which is locally known as the Mosi-otunya Falls, and Mosi-otunya means the smoke that thunders, just because of the loud noise that it makes. And tying to that, an interesting fact about the Victoria Falls is that it's the largest crater with falling water in the world. Not the tallest, like the Niagara, but the largest. It's
Okay.
like 1 point something kilometers long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's pretty wide and stretches quite far.
Cool.
And also relating to David Livingstone and names and how names come about. When he was exploring Zambia, he stood atop the Munali Hills. So in this area called Munali, there's a monument just to commemorate him, David Livingstone. And that monument, that area Munali, the name Munali means the red man, and how that came about is because he was standing at the top of the hills and the locals in Zambia saw him standing up there and he was sunburned.
Wow.
And so they were like, look at that red man up on the top of the hills, because they'd never, like a white man being red, like they'd never seen that happen. So that's how they named him Munali, which means like the red man. Yeah.
And that became a common name.
Yeah, and that's the name of the area where his monument is.
Oh, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
so it's just like names have meaning back home.
What about you, Robert? Any cool facts?
Columbus thought he was, when he landed in America, he thought he was in India, and that's why he named the native people of this country Indians. But Indians come from India, and another big fact is that the majority of dark olive and copper colored people that live in this country, the majority of you were all big facts.
It's an important fact.
It's an important fact in research and study. So.
Good, interesting. What about you, Christina?
The first thing that
You can feel the passion, right? And I guess his gift is the passion.
That's right. Amazon.com.
The first thing that popped in my head was like, take your shoes off. Inside my head, like no shoes in the house. Like we take our shoes off at the door. It's just a way to respect the household, the family, and the rules, I guess. So.
And it's smart and clean.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very clean.
I want to do that too.
Yes.
You know, I want to have a little station by the door where you can put your shoes, because there's so much stuff coming out and coming into the house.
Respect.
Oh man, there's so
Keep
much.
the chi good. It keeps, yeah.
I like
Where they
that.
came from.
It's hard to, but if I were to ask any of my Haitian friends to take your shoes off, I was like, you know where I bought those shoes from? I paid like $200 for these shoes. They're staying on. It's part of my outfit. What about you, Patrick?
Cool fact. Talking about how we use our French language and the dual language when we speak to our elderly or women. It almost feels, if I speak Jeff in French, it almost feels like I'm being, say,
Affectionate?
yeah. It's almost so affectionate. But when I've never understood, like, I'm like, but why? But I guess one fact about us, and then, I don't know how I'll say, like you were saying, one cool fact that I think it should be put out there is where slavery was abolished.
Yes. How I say it.
Yeah, and it was in 1804.
Yes.
Well, we celebrated January 1st, 1804, but it was abolished in 1803, I think November.
November 18th. When that was the battle. I mean,
The
but
battle,
it was
you know?
it was a long process.
But it
though.
was proclaimed in January 1st, but we also I have to say it's a cool fact actually. It's a cool, important fact that we should all know that that's really what started, I'll say, revolution over the world.
Absolutely.
And what I even noticing, I did my research, Greece, when Greece was looking to get their independence, and they needed more men and then they needed money for their men, they contacted what was the general at that time in Haiti for help.
Yeah.
At that time, we were short of men, so I think they sent like a few men, it's like 10 or 20, but at the time Haiti was big in producing coffee. So we sent a lot of coffee beans there so they could
Stay awake.
take it, either drink it or take it and use it and sell it so they could buy more weapons to fight for their independence. And Haiti was the first country that declared Greece as an independent country. I think that's a cool fact to know it, and we were the forefront of abolishing slavery.
Very important also, and it's part of our culture. The role of slavery altogether, it's so deep in our culture, and also how we behave right now today as a people is such an important thing. Like people really don't really get it a lot of times. And I feel like even today, even educated people don't get it like that. It's part of who we are, and it's in every one of us actually. So it's something very important because we've come a long way. And if you think about it, the existence of human beings and even the existence of culture altogether, where like I would say it's like a unity of beliefs put together as human beings in that concept overall is said to be about 200 to 500,000 years old, whereas all the things that we're talking about is barely 100 years old.
Yeah.
So you can imagine all the years that went by before that and all the other impacts in our culture. So I think that's very, very interesting. So
this famous quote, and I don't remember if it was from Thomas Edison, where it said, "If there's something that I know, it's nothing." Which pretty much means there's so much to learn and to know and to go back and learn. I mean, you don't. There's not enough time for you to live to actually get to know everything like that. So that means you never know.
speaking of time, we're running out of it. So let's go straight and let's wrap it up with Yubeska. Tell us a little bit more about any cool facts about your culture that we might need to know.
Tenemos lo que es el salto de agua más grande del mundo. Su nombre es el Santo Ángel. También en Venezuela contamos con todos los climas, con nieve, desierto, frío, todo en un solo año sin determinada estación. Tenemos el récord de premios de mujeres de belleza. También, otro de los datos más interesantes, en alguna oportunidad ganamos el récord Guinness por ser las personas más felices del mundo.
All right. Cool, very cool.
Yeah, yo pienso que todavía lo tenemos.
How do you say cool in Spanish? Cool. Cool is one of my favorite words for those who know me. Anyway, guys, it was a pleasure, having this discussion with you guys. I myself personally learned a lot from all the different cultures here represented on this panel, and I want to thank our viewers and everybody watching the show. Hopefully, we'll have more for you guys to come, and thank you for everybody involved. And I guess until next time.
Thank you. Culture
show.
What are the ways to say it? Cultura.
Cultura. Kiltsi.
Good job, everyone.
Oh, good job. Great job.
Yes.